Hey, it's Christine. I'm doing a follow-up on the end of life video that I just did. And at the time I was pretty concerned about my home care because I believe I mentioned that I had a meeting at my house with about 10 people here, and including a representative from the state legislation, our district, and my brothers. And so I felt like it was a pretty solid support for both sides. Doesn't matter what you say, there's always going to be people that don't like what you say. But it's my life, and I'm going to be an activist till the end, and this is what has happened. So after that meeting, everybody planned, let's just move on and get Christine the crew she needs. And the next day I got a termination letter for 7 shifts. Can't remember if that was brought up in the last video, but obviously I've been freaked out for weeks because they gave me a 2 weeks notice, and the notice was given on a Thursday, so there wasn't a lot to get done that week, and the state basically wanted me and my brothers to find an agency, call people, do it all ourselves. And you know, my brothers and my niece, she's a school psychologist, and my sister, and they're just trying to grasp the responsibility of the case manager, because obviously this just completely stressed me out. And I think I remember telling you about when I was in the hospital for 30 hours, and that's when I decided that I could not do bedbound home nursing home at all. My muscles were going into involuntary contractions because I need to movement in order to thrive. I need to use my muscles just like everybody else that's watching this video. You need to go out there and fucking run a mile and think of me while you're doing it, and use your bodies and realize that, you know, things change from 20 to 30 to 40, and then pretty soon you're fucking 50 like I am, or almost this year. But anyway, so I have just been completely stressed out to where my blood pressure was hypertension, which means high blood pressure, but to an extraordinary amount, where my low number was 199, I think, over 220 one time. And the week before, when I was in the hospital, or a couple of weeks before, when I had the flu, I had low blood pressure, where the low number was like 60s and 70s. And you really wanted the low number to be around 80, 120 is normal. So the nurses there knew me, and they couldn't figure out why my blood pressure just spiked. It was because of stress and my muscles just probably constricting my arteries, and I could have a freaking stroke or a heart attack with blood pressure that high. And it's not like something that could be cured by medication, because it's not really my diet. Because when I get my blood pressure taken, the other day it was 76 over 119. Well, anyway, last week I went into the doctor and it was 150 over top number I can never remember because it's kind of not as important as the bottom number, but they were like, well, you have high blood pressure, and which I don't. I have normal blood pressure. I go to the doctor so much, I get my blood pressure taken probably more than anybody has in their whole entire life, And for me to have this blood pressure, I decided to go and watch Khan Academy and learn about blood pressure and the arteries and what it does. And I'm so glad I'm a nerd. But anyway, I've been sitting at the edge of my seat still. I finally got my nurse talked into. There's a caregiver that I have that agreed to do Monday and Tuesday and Wednesdays permanent. And when I got terminated from the agency, they terminated all shifts except for one shift, my neighbor, and she's not even through training yet. So why they would terminate me off of the other shifts, well, I have some pretty good ideas, but anyway, the one lady went in and said, hey, Christine's really nice. Why are you getting rid of her? Because she's dealt with high needs clients that bite and spit and scratch and do all kinds of horrible things. I mean, you wouldn't believe what abused people would get themselves to when the hopelessness reaches a certain point. I mean, yeah, maybe there's some mental disability and some coping things that it just, you cannot throw a new person into a vulnerable adult's life every frickin' day, you know what I mean? If you're high needs, you need that consistency. I even know that because I used to be more, one to like training people. But there became a line where I needed help. And when I crossed that line, it was very frustrating to have to train. Because I used to be able to do it, and I was good at it. I liked it. And I had permanent caregivers, I told you, but, I bring up in the meeting, several times that, Adult Protective Services told me that I was with the most corrupt agency on the planet. And to go to the media, my lawyer. Well, that happened in 2013. Okay? 2 months later, I got a termination letter. Well, I really liked the nurse. I got to know her, the caregivers I had worked with, a couple of them for like a year and a half. I did a lot of training, a lot of new people. But the rejection that you feel from being terminated sucks, I mean, nobody likes rejection, and especially after I was told that, I mean, I didn't even do anything, I wanted to actually try to fix the problem because nurse delegation is being broken statewide in Washington State, and that's where certified nurse trained caregivers take care of you, and they're overseen by a nurse, and I'm supposed to have 4 of them plus backups, and well, that's never happened. Ever since I got back from 60 Minutes, I paid that $3,700 and didn't realize that, they, after 10 hours, they manipulate people into going into nursing homes. That's like forcing people into death camps. For some people, the MS, because you just get super deconditioned. And that's, the end result is hopefully, that they don't have to suffer too long, but that's why I'm an activist. It goes way back then. It took me 5 months to get a case manager. I was with an agency for a year and a half, almost. And then I was told this news. And this was after I was dropped on my head because I was training a new person. A week and a half later, I was abandoned for 17 hours. And then after I got dropped on my head, they prescribed me oxycodone. And then they were stealing that. And I had no, I demanded that I get help. And I went to another agency, and they had a problem with the caregiver. She had cancer, and it was an aggressive cancer, and I didn't say anything. I would have gone to the supervisor, was barely could absorb what happened to her, but apparently she thought I called APS. Well, I don't see me picking my arms up and calling anybody unless I do an email and ask somebody professional to do it. And if I would have gone to anybody, I would have gone to the supervisor. Well, anyway, she threw me in my chair, flew me halfway across the room, and then called the manager, and the manager's like, well, you want to sit there like that until 9 o'clock tonight? You better get used to Michelle. And so we did. We had to work together. And then on Tuesday, I talked to the same manager, told her the story that I just told you about on your own, the other agency, and they terminated me that day. And at least they told me that they would give me coverage until I got a new agency. Well, those girls that worked for me, they both were allergic to my cat. They both did whatever they could. They went above and beyond. They drove from far, far away to come and help me every day. And then when I was ready to switch over to the next agency, they weren't ready for me, so I ended up in the hospital. Me and my neighbor ended up training people shift after shift after shift for 2 weeks before I got stable care. So I did end up in the hospital. And that was the month of October, my birthday. And so I bring all these things up, and then last summer, I go to the UW for physical therapy, and I had a private physical therapist come to my house and stayed for 3 hours, and they both obviously believe in rehab therapy, and I showed them the squat pivot transfer, and both of them were so impressed with me and my caregiver, and they said that it's totally fine as long as she's using her body correctly, which I know how to do. I know how to teach people how to do things properly. If people choose not to be repetitive, I'll use my overhead Hoyer lift, but it does have, it's electrical, so if the battery goes dead or power goes out, people are gonna need to manually transfer me. Plus, my wheelchair is so frickin' high tech that, for me to even go outside or be in that wheelchair, a manual transfer is required, at least one, But anyway, the good news is, bad news is I still don't have one night a week covered. I'm totally stressed about it. I'm going to probably have to pay private pay this week for the first time. I see my palliative care doctor next Friday, and then I see my regular doctor next Saturday about the no food, no water, because I really don't want to give up living in my home. And I can't live stressed out like this. I cannot train people. This is a ridiculous, fucked up system. I know it was low on the totem pole for the legislator, but they are trying to make, better pay or better hours for people that are total care. So, why would a caregiver want to work with me when they could sit there and, take somebody grocery shopping? Anyway, I'm a lot of work, and I probably need, as I'm stressing out, I'm stiffening up, and I need more stretching and more movement, and I haven't been getting that. And it's just progressing me. I don't know how much. I know I respond well to rehab therapy, but I don't know if I can recover from the rejection and the retaliation that I have received from the hundreds of caregivers well over 100 caregivers I've trained, and straight out verbal threats made over speakerphone from Department of Social and Health Services. I brought up all these issues, and everybody's like, moving forward, moving forward, moving forward. Well, I can't move forward. I don't even know if I talked about this. Well, anyway, on certain things, and that's why I'm an activist. Because now I know how crappy it is for the majority of people. And since I'm a consumer, and I have a lot of care and therapy and connections and hours and brains, that even though I'm paralyzed, I'm going to be an activist until the day I die. And part of that has to do with human suffering. And I've told everybody about how I feel about that. Well, anyway, this last week, it's just been super stressful. One of the agencies fell through with somebody they were going to try for the night shift, and she sounds kind of hopeless, and I was lucky that I could get that one lady 3 days a week until I get a new agency. But I still have to pay private pay on Sundays, and but I still don't feel comfortable with that. I'm not going to be able to afford that forever. Just to do the end of life care for a week or 2 weeks or however long. It probably won't take that long, but to have maybe nursing care involved, might have to pay for that, but I'm sorry, I physically cannot do what they're asking me to do. What else am I supposed to do? I'm not going to just go into nursing home where I know it's going to be torture for me. Anyway, I tried to get in contact with some people that, with 60 Minutes, and hopefully they're going to be able to help me. And I got some really good response back there. I'm still in shock about it. I probably won't know more until this next week. It's like waiting till the last second, and I'm not even sure if I physically can handle it. I have to talk to a palliative care next Friday, and to my doctor next Saturday. Now my goal is not changing. If I can't find care, and I'm going to continue to be stressed out like this, I'm going to have to go through with the no food and no water. It's not like, these contacts have, maybe things are going to change next week. It's just I cannot believe how far I've been pushed to the edge to where I'm so scared and I have anxiety so much about working with different people, new people, worrying about training. I just can't, I give up. I'm not a superhero. I am an activist, and I hope to get this story out. I think that would be part of my bucket list, but I'm not expecting that to save me. I still need to work with the same system, and I don't know. I really don't. That's the update for now. Thanks for listening. I know there's going to be people out there that might not understand where I'm coming from, but believe me, I have great compassion for vulnerable adults, and I cannot stand what I'm going through, and I cannot stand what they're probably putting other people through to where they turn into biting animals. It's like I said, they treat circus animals better than they treat vulnerable adults, and thousands are getting killed. It just makes me sick, and I can't wait to expose the problem, and hopefully my care will be better. But if it isn't, then I'll keep you posted. I'll probably know more in a week.